Betty salvages a lesson from disaster. It's dinner time at the home of Mr. and Mrs. Jack Barbour and their 6 beautiful daughters. The shocking news about the wedding next door has turned this into a quiet and thoughtful hour. And now these 8 Barbours, 1 man, 7 women, are finishing dessert in silence. Sharon glances at her parents' grave faces, lifts an eyebrow at her sister Janie, who shrugs at Mary Lou. The triplets, operating in tandem as usual, seem to think it wiser not to look up.
More, Mary Lou?
No, thanks.
Janie?
No, thanks, Daddy.
You, Sharon?
Not for me.
Not you either, Betty?
Oh, no, thank you, Jack. I lost my appetite when I heard the news, and I haven't got it back yet.
Pinky wants you to call him after dinner.
I know, Sherry. Janie started to tell me.
Yes, he wants you to write a recommendation to the Mark Hopkins Hotel so he can find another job.
Girls, this terrible thing has happened, and I think we should try to learn something from it.
Amen.
Yes, you can see what happens when a young girl underestimates herself and gets impatient. Now, here was Greta, one of the prettiest girls I've ever seen.
She's a darling.
All right, in the first place, she was so eager to have a boy. Just any boy. Just somebody in pants.
No, Betty.
No, really, Jack. Now, if we can't be utterly honest with the girls about basic things like this, then we don't deserve the name of parents.
Tell him about the freak list, Mom.
What's that, Sharon? Miss Janie?
Mom's got a theory about how every girl goes through a freak list.
You know about this, too, Mary Lou?
She means the boys who major in bachelor cooking and all those things. Who'll never earn a living.
Holy cow.
Women have to discuss these things, Jack.
You're lucky to be sitting in on it.
Sharon, now, don't be rude.
Oh, I'm not. He is lucky, aren't you, Daddy?
Well, it may be open to question.
Go on, Mom. Explain it to him.
Oh, give me a chance, Janie. Well, this is just an observation, Jack, but I think it's important. Last week at PTA, I was talking to Amy Wilson. They have 2 daughters, and Betty McElvey, they have 3. And Ruby Warshawski, they have 3 girls and a boy. Well, they all agree. Almost every girl goes through a list of misfits when she first starts dating. The strangest boys turn up. Tall ones who hate to work but love to play basketball, or ones that take 5 periods of gardening, or boys without haircuts who take snap courses like bachelor cooking, or boys who can't pass any subject but shop. No, this is true, Jack. It's absolutely true.
Tell him your whole theory, Mom, about why it is. This is the part I like.
Yes, good. Well, the reason this happens, I think, is this. Girls are superior in so many ways. They have nobler ideals. They're less materialistic.
Yeah.
But, now let me finish. But, men are big mysteries, especially to girls who don't have brothers. They have so much to learn about getting a man. At first, it's very hard to strike the right note between chasing one and running away from him too fast. These are things a girl has to know, Jack. So while she's experimenting, she comes home with some very odd-looking characters, misfits.
Now, you can't call Jerry Beeson a misfit.
No, now that's the point. They gradually work up. But at first, they seem to have no sense of discrimination.
Brother.
So explain about Greta, Mom.
Look here, are you going over this for the second time?
Well, we've talked about it a little.
We've been exploring it. This is the first time Mom has put it all together. Go ahead, Mom.
Well, here was Greta. A darling girl, perfectly beautiful, with a fine job on the Nordic Airlines. But because her English wasn't perfect, and she felt inadequate and unsure of herself, well, along came Pinky with all that gaiety and pumped-up self-assurance, and she didn't stop to find out what he was really like, but fell head over heels in love with him.
You can control this, can you?
Well, a girl ought to wait until she's more mature and has a little judgment.
Whew, you're pretty cold-blooded tonight.
Go on, Mommy. Daddy, don't interrupt.
So, Greta began to show a little flicker of maturity and broke up with Pinky, which was inevitable. Then along came Hank. Steady, intelligent, kind, hard-working, handsome, considerate, amusing. Everything a boy could be, and he proposed.
But she had never gotten over Pinky because she let herself fall too hard before her judgment was mature.
That's exactly right, Mary Lou. So back she went to Pinky, and so what was the first thing that happened after the honeymoon?
He lost his job.
You see, and why? Let's hear an answer.
Because he had his job due to nepotism anyhow. What's nepotism?
Janie, what's nepotism?
That goes back to Bishop Nepo, who kept all of his kinfolk on the estate of the church.
That's right. Pinky got his job with the hotel because Mr. Sears approved of him for his daughter, Sanda. So there's another lesson. Any job that isn't based on worth and ability and hard work and talent simply isn't secure, is it?
No.
So putting everything else aside, if Greta and Pinky had thought it through, they boy might have known his job would blow up as soon as he got married to someone other than Santa. So at least she should have persuaded him to get another job first. A woman who wants a happy marriage has to be able to think things through. It's still a man's world, and it's wonderful to fall in love, but don't let that stop you from using your brain. A woman's only defense is her femininity and her brain.
Hey, ho, ho, ho. Oh, no. Uncle Jack, you through dinner?
Hi, Ben.
Hi, Pinky. How's Greta?
Oh, she's okay, Aunt Betty. She's great-o. She's back on the job.
Oh.
Yeah, she's flying over the North Pole right about now.
Oh, really?
A good thing she's working. Say, Uncle Jack, could I talk to you alone a minute?
Yeah, we'll go out on the back porch, Pinky. This is no place for the likes of you and me.
Jack closes the back door and moves to the porch railing beside Pinky, who stands gazing at the new moon in the cloudless April sky.
Oh, boy. Greta, we're 40,000 feet headed toward Copenhagen under the same moon. Just think of that.
Very romantic.
Yeah, sure was tough to say goodbye, Uncle Jack.
When will she be back?
About 10 days. Then she'll have 4 nights, 5 days here, and then gone again. That's the way it'll be the whole first year. I hope I'm working when she gets back. Suppose you heard I got fired. I picked up my severance check today.
Did you see Mr. Sears?
I saw him, yeah.
What did he say?
Nothing. He looked right through me.
Oh.
Mr. Birdwell, the auditor, he's been with Mr. Sears for 15 years. He said in all that time he's never seen him so furious and disappointed. And he told Mr. Birdwell if I send in any requests for recommendations, he wants to answer them personally. So there you have it. He'd like to queer me in the hotel business.
Well, you work for the Trajada.
Oh, I kind of left the Trajada under a cloud.
Oh, yeah, I'd forgotten that.
Well, what I wanted to ask you, haven't you got a couple of big hotels among your clients? And could you ask them if they need a night clerk? I do better at night somehow.
Well, Pink, I'll have to give it some thought.
Well, I heard somewhere that you and Judge Hunter do some legal work for the Mark Hopkins Hotel.
Some, yeah.
Boy, if I could be a night clerk at the Mark Hopkins by the time Greta gets back. Do you know the manager of the Mark Hopkins?
Yes, I do, Pinky.
Well, could you recommend me? Uncle Jack?
Let me give that some thought, will you?
Yeah, okay.
I'll talk to Paul, too. We'll both rally round. You're a young fella yet. It might be better to work up. Start at the smaller hotels.
I have started at the smaller hotels and... Oh, I see. Okay, Uncle Jack, I understand.
Excuse me, there's the phone. Betty, is that for me?
Jerry Beetham calling Sharon.
Oh, good. That's great. Well, Pinky, Pink, where are you?
Good night, Uncle Jack. Thanks just the same.
Good night, son. Good night.
2 hours later, Betty, who's been staring up into the darkness, deep in thought, suddenly realizes that her husband is far, far over on his own side of the big double bed.
May I say something? Not critical, but a word of advice.
Yes, Betty?
You act too enthusiastic about Jerry Beetham, Jack. I've talked to other mothers, and they all agree. When parents approve of a boy, that dooms him. Teenagers yearn to rebel.
It seems to be a tightrope act for everybody.
It really is.
Now, may I say something?
Sure, go right ahead.
I was shocked by that speech at the dinner table. It was brutally materialistic, if you want my opinion. Cold-blooded, unromantic, and absolutely cynical.
As Father Barbour says, this is a hard world, and sometimes you have to make hard choices. I'm trying to be a good mother, Jack Barbour, and keep 6 girls from making terrible mistakes. It's easy to say yes and pick the wrong man. Now tell me, would you want our girls to marry a boy with Pinky's future, would you? Answer me honestly. All right, then. If you get cold in the night, you can move closer. You'll find me way over here on my own side.
One Man's Family, which comes to you Monday through Friday, is written by Harlan Ware and directed by Carlton E. Morse. In Chapter 9, Book 134, Spotlight on the Unemployed.